Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
We are here for episode 5.
Episode 5
of It's Not Just You. And this is the first episode that we filmed having released the podcast. All of our other episodes until episode 4 have been pre-recorded even. So we're doing this.
I mean, this one is also pre-recorded.
Yes.
But we can say
it's out in the world.
That the podcast is officially out.
Yeah.
How have you found releasing the pod, Soph?
It was a big old push, wasn't it, to get it out? I mean, I would say that Rach has really carried us through with just...
I mean, no, it's a joint effort.
No, but
the editing,
you have. Let's be honest, you have.
The editing side of things. Well, it's more what I do for my job anyway, guys. So just been pulling those skills I've learned out the bag, but...
Yeah, so it was a push over the line. And we're still, I think, getting used to what it takes to upload and, you know, have content going out every week. But I would say that I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
It's been like, I feel like it's always funny when you start something new and then you hear like people's thoughts, and like we have lots of different people in our lives being like, oh, like this part made me laugh, or like, oh, this part, or but I think like the overall feedback that I've loved is just like people saying it just literally feels like they're just joining us for a chat. Yeah. Which is just really the aim, to be honest.
It really is. So we're achieving our goals.
We're achieving our goals. And I think particularly when it's like people that know us and are like, oh yeah, you know, you're coming across how you are usually, and just like, it literally just feels like we're hanging out. I'm like, great. Perfect. Because you don't want to be, that's just what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, no, of course.
That's the goal.
So we're just fully in the swing of clips, audio, visual, everything.
I think, a lot more does go on behind the scenes, I guess, than just simply like hitting record, isn't it? Yeah. Like it's more of a mammoth task than you might think. It really is.
I think it's just the audio plus visual. Yeah. Like when we were doing YouTube videos, it was just video editing, whereas now there's the audio side. There's also the whole, you know, another platform to upload onto Spotify, Apple.
Guys, can anyone else just not keep up with the amount of social platforms?
Gosh. Like Threads now?
The recent edition of Threads. But it's like...
Who is on Threads? Can we just ask? Because every time, the very few times that I've been on it, it's not that active.
No. I mean, I don't know, maybe just not for
the people that we know.
Yeah. But I feel like older people have hopped on it.
I think they have. And I see, like, you know, in the same way as with Twitter, all the kind of celeb accounts, or like, you know, where it's like a meme account or something like that. But in terms of my friends that are in my life that I know, no one's using it.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah.
But then also,
maybe they are.
But then to be fair, no one that I know really anymore use Twitter. No. So I guess if you weren't using Twitter, then why would you start using Threads?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see whether it does become the next big thing and it grows, or whether it's just
I think it's going to die.
I mean, TikTok is just still like the one, isn't it?
Well, do you think Threads is going to die or survive?
I don't know. I actually don't know. It could survive. It could just grow.
Well, apparently Elon Musk is like suing them anyway.
Oh, what?
Because it's too similar to Twitter.
Fair.
So
but they must have thought that through. I don't know.
They must have their loopholes that they've jumped through that mean that they can't sue them. TikTok is really still the one that's really just thriving.
It is. I think, well, just with younger generations, basically, they're just on it.
This is the wild thing, though, about stuff like, I mean, it is the same with Instagram, but I think more so with TikTok. Someone said this the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like, you can never complete TikTok.
What do you mean?
In terms of, that's just the massive incentive as to why people spend so much time on it, because it's legit just never ending.
Complete. Oh, as in like the timeline doesn't run out.
Yeah,
as in like
it's just never ending.
Yeah, because on Instagram when it's like you've caught up with all the posts.
Yeah. In terms of, I'm like, okay, you could go onto Reels, but I think there does sometimes feel like on Instagram, I've watched everyone's story. Yeah. I've scrolled through every post, right? Yeah, that's taken me 2 hours, but let's put the phone down. Whereas TikTok, it is just like you could. I mean, I wonder if anyone's got to a point on TikTok, surely not, where they've actually like scrolled almost to like you've watched every video. No, that's just impossible.
But like, it's impossible. And I guess that's just the way they've set up their algorithm. It's very clever because you don't really follow people in the same way that you do on
it's just
Instagram. It's like anyone
TikTok time's going
the time literally. Guys, I feel like someone had that, or like I had that realization of like it's called TikTok, and it's like because you just waste hours on it. I don't know if that's why. If they named it like that, it's pretty dark. Like kind of like, we're going to name this app that just controls people's minds and lives and takes up all their time. Like,
I mean, they've smashed it.
Oh, I don't know.
One massive thing for me, you can't see your clock when you're on it.
Oh, really?
So when you're on the app, there's no, you know, in the top corner, there'd normally be a little clock.
Oh.
I don't know if that's with all apps, and I might have got that wrong. Like every app's just like that, but guys, I feel like I noticed that on TikTok.
This podcast is going to be an analysis of TikTok.
Anyway.
Oh, guys, should we just jump in?
Let's just go.
I think we should jump into the topic. This week's podcast episode is It's Not Just You Who Doesn't Know If You Are in the Right Relationship. Oh.
Flippery.
I was trying to avoid the temptation like we do every time to go, oh, but like, I mean, I'd say it's more of a, ooh.
It's more for
what
me.
Noise would you make
for me,
to
it's
that?
more of a, can't relate.
I thought you were going to go.
No, for me, it's more of a,
Yikes.
I'm going to be taking a bit of a back seat in this episode.
Oh, right, okay.
So I don't
think you are, mate.
I don't know what.
Love Dr. Soap's coming out again.
I don't know what noise to make because.
No, it's more of a yikes.
No. Oh, snap.
Oh, snap, Shaniqua. Guys, today we want to address the feeling, the unknown of dating someone and not being 100% sure that they're the right person for you. And
just say it's not just you.
I think a lot of people, well, obviously in the grand scheme of life, a lot of people go through breakups. So they have had that feeling, realize they're having it and act on it.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, I reckon a lot of people do have that feeling.
Yeah.
And ignore it.
Yeah. I think especially, I guess, the not just you aspect coming into it. I can imagine if you were in your first serious relationship and it is that question of, is this just how it feels to feel unsure?
100%.
Or am I actually really doubting it? Is this normal? Is it not? I can imagine if you were in your first relationship and you've not experienced a breakup or what it feels like to know, or what, you know, where I guess if you have more experience, it might be more clear.
100%. Yeah. And I think that is actually like the reality for a lot of people, because I think even though we're saying, okay, you have a bit, so like often I guess this situation arises where you're in a relationship, you're dating, you really like loads about them. Obviously they're not a perfect human, so there's things that
no one is,
don't like about them, but I would describe, I guess, the feeling of being almost like this little niggle that is like niggling away in your mind or just in the back of your processing, where you're just wondering, oh, do I see myself with this person for the long term? Like, I think like you're saying, it could be your first relationship and you're thinking, you know, how am I supposed to feel about this person? Is what I'm feeling how you feel if you're going to end up with someone, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, it's almost all the unknowns.
Yeah. And I think that it's this very almost fine line or balance between, like you said, everyone is a human that's imperfect. You're not going to meet your perfect,
absolute dream guy.
There's nothing I could fault person. So in reality, there is going to be compromise and things that you're, you know, oh, I maybe like that, would have liked that, but, you know, I'm happy that this person isn't like that, blah, 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 all of that. With actually, I want to marry or date someone, marry, be in a relationship, have a boyfriend,
live
who
life
is
with
all these things.
Yeah.
And like, how much do you compromise? How much do you, you know, go away from what you originally wanted. Or,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Well,
I think that's quite a fine line to tread.
Yeah. And I guess that is ultimately what we're saying there, the core of the question. To what extent do you compromise? Because if we're saying no one's perfect, that means to some degree there is a compromise because no one's perfect. So it's like, so to what degree do you compromise on who someone is and versus kind of what you've always wanted or would love in a partner?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know when to compromise? How do you know when it is too much of a compromise?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's actually like the crux of the issue, I would say.
Yeah.
And
Do you
like,
want another scale?
Oh, for flip's sake, here we go. Go on.
Okay. Like I said, I've literally never been in a relationship, so I've got no idea what I'm talking
See,
about.
guys, this is what I mean. Start of the episode, so saying she's taking a seat back, but here she comes out with a scale.
Just take or leave these things, okay?
Yeah.
Imagine you're on a driving test.
Okay.
You've got your major faults.
Yeah. Yes.
You've got your minor faults.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Two majors is a fail.
One major's a fail.
Oh, one major. Yeah, one major.
A major's like a major.
Yeah, one major's a fail.
Yeah.
But an accumulation of
Minors. You can have 15
or how I think 13.
Oh, 13. Okay.
I can't let's say between 10 and 15. You're still going to fail. And I think sometimes there's the obvious big major red flag.
Yeah.
They don't have this thing.
That's a no. I'm not even going to get. That would be something like someone asks you out and you don't even find them attractive. Well, you're not going to date them if you don't find them attractive.
You're dating, you know you want kids, and they're like, there's no way I'm having kids. And you're like, like the big kind of like, nah, that's just that's fundamentally not going to work.
Yeah.
I think it's when it gets into the how many minors are we giving before we're failing the test.
But also some minors are bigger than others, if you get me.
I do get
There's almost like a subscale within that of
one
like...
minor could be like, they don't pick their pants off the floor.
I was like, where are you going with that? Pick their pants.
They leave their towel on the floor after they've had a shower.
But I guess we're defining minors as things that are important to you and do kind of like... to you, but they do affect you.
Yeah. An example could be like, I wanted someone who was like really active and sporty, and they're not that into active sporty things. Yeah. You're like, would be nice because, you know, I'd like to have the Saturday morning park run, whatever you have in your head. And they're just not going to be that person.
But the thing is, this is what I mean. I know for some people that's not a minor, that's a major, because they are that into like fitness, etc.
But let's say for this example,
it's all subjective to what you want.
But it's like something that you would like, but it's not deal breaker level. It's just like, if I was building my ideal person, I'd put that in there.
But then what happens is when the minors build up, they become a major.
Exactly.
So you might have one thing that you're like, I don't really like that, but it's okay. They've got all these other incredible traits about them that I love. And then it's like, another thing. I don't really like that either. But it's okay. There's still all this. And then it's like, no, there's that as well. No, that. Okay, now I'm like, I'm not sure about this.
Yes.
And it builds up and you're like, okay, maybe I'm not in the right relationship.
Yeah. And I would say that I think the main thing that I would say is that the minor things are important because I think often people go straight to, you need to look for the red flags, which are quite, I'd say, big substantial things. And I think people don't look so much and it's like, you can't be like super, super, super picky and have this like, 100, 100 list criteria of all these things. But I think this is where we get into the conversation of like settling because there actually are things that are important to you. And, and actually you could find someone who has more of these kind of more minor qualities, but almost you think, it's just a minor thing. So you let them all kind of go, not unspoken. What's the word? You let them kind of accumulate or you just accept, they don't have all these things, but because it's not a big major, I'll let it slide.
No, I would 100% agree. I think that's what I'm trying to say with the minors. Even though we're calling them minors, they're actually not. Yeah. Because like they're important things to you. And like you say, that's where you enter the whole conversation of settling, because I think a lot of people do, have things that they struggle with about their partner, or there's things that they just don't agree with, or they're not attracted to, or they don't like about them. But whether it's as a result of fear of not finding someone else, or like fear of having to let that person down and break up, or fear of, they want kids and they want a family and they just want to start.
Yeah.
They settle and they stay with that person, and it's not the right relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. You had that list, didn't you?
So guys, the other day I was scrolling on TikTok. Funny that.
Yeah. We just slated it, but it's going to be the crux of this whole episode.
Yeah. And I came across this TikTok. I'll have to give them a shout out. That basically, it just came up on my feed saying a list of questions to ask yourself if you're in a relationship, that will almost like help you determine if it's the right relationship. So the title of this TikTok, shout out to Safe Soul Space.
Shout out Safe Soul Space.
It says, if you're unsure about your relationship, try asking yourself these 5 honest questions. They have personally helped me so much. 1, if someone told you you're a lot like your partner, would this be a compliment to you? 2, are you truly fulfilled or just less lonely? 3, are you able to be unapologetically yourself, or do you feel the need to show up differently to please your partner? 4, are you in love with who your partner is right now as a whole, or are you only in love with their good side, their potential, or the idea of them? And then 5, would you want your future/imagined child to date someone like your partner?
Eesh.
So 5 quite hard-hitting questions there. For me personally, the one that stood out was number 1. If someone told you you're a lot like your partner, would this be a compliment to you? I just think that's a good place to start. Like, obviously you don't need to be exactly like your partner. You're going to have different strengths, different weaknesses. But if your answer is like, not sure. Oh, actually, I don't know. It's just a thought-provoking question.
Yeah. And I think one that I've never, until you read me that thing, I've never heard that question being asked, or to ask yourself that question.
Yeah, and I think it's on a similar strain of thought of a question I've heard before around, like, I think this is also like linked to it. When you're with your partner in social situations or whatever, are you proud of them? Are you, are you proud to be their girlfriend, their boyfriend? Or do you struggle with that? I think that's also a very thought-provoking question along the same line of like,
being associated with them.
It's essentially like, would you be happy to be associated with that person, likened to that person?
Yeah.
It's food for thought.
It is food for thought. What was the 4th question? What was that?
The 4th one, did that stand out to you?
I think that's the one that...
Okay, the 4th one is, are you in love with who your partner is right now as a whole, or are you only in love with their good side, their potential, or the idea of them?
What was the next one after that?
That was around, would you like your child to date someone?
The one about, that one, the 4th one, about the potential of them. Oh my gosh. It's almost like what we were talking about in that other episode, where it's like, when we were talking about... whether you navigating guy and girl friendships, and you can almost sometimes build this idea of a person in your mind, and actually that's not the reality of who they are. I think it's almost just similar to that, isn't it, where you can go, oh, they're not like this now, but I'm sure in a few months or a few years they'll have changed. And obviously the hope is, and the likelihood is, they will have changed, because we're always changing and growing as humans and learning. But I remember I heard someone say once, it's like, you have, like, if your partner never changed from who they are today, right now, would you be happy to be with them? Because you can't guarantee that that's going to happen.
And also, like, I so agree. I think people think, oh, as they mature, they'll become like X, Y, or Z, or
you don't know that.
Or maybe even like, as I spend more time with them and I'm like this, they'll become more like that. But also,
and I can shape them and I can change them.
But also, again, like, I remember someone saying to me once, like, it's not about that. It is actually specifically about loving your differences and loving therefore loving what they're going to bring rather than trying to make someone think like you. So rather than being like, oh, I would really want to change this person, you actually should hopefully more be feeling like, yeah, we're different, but I really like their differences. I'm happy for them to be that way. I think, you know, we balance each other out, and I don't want to like try and shoehorn them into the kind of person I want them to be. I love them for who they are. Yeah. And like, obviously it's like in a relationship when you're different, that does cause arguments and it causes disagreements. That's normal. But we're talking about the thing of like not fundamentally wanting them to change as who they are. And then the other one that stood out to me from that was the one around being lonely.
Yeah.
And like, if you're being completely honest with yourself, do you love this person and you love...
What do they say? Fulfilled or something?
Yeah. Let's refer back to the source.
Are they truly fulfilling you or something?
Are you truly fulfilled or just less lonely? Oh, that is a hard-hitting question. Yeah. But like, you've got to be honest with yourself. If it's like, do you know what? Because I think the reality is when you're heading towards a breakup and you're like questioning the idea of a breakup, it's a very hard... and to be honest, like brave thing to do because you are changing everything about your current life. Setup. So like even that question, one of your fears might be, but if I break up with this person, I'll be lonely. But the reality is you're not being fully fulfilled in the relationship. Yeah. You're just like, no, I just need someone. So I need this person. But it's like, that's like a real short-term fix because even like you were saying earlier, life is short, but it's also really long.
Profound point for me.
Yeah, like, but it's true. So like right now you could be feeling scared about being lonely. So you just commit to like be with someone, maybe get married, maybe whatever. And then it's like, right, well, you're spending your life with them. And what if, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it was actually out of that place of like fear of being lonely as opposed to you really fulfill me.
Yeah, yeah. You have been through a breakup. Would you like what would you say your kind of reflections are? I
think my reflections would be
or in terms of like how did you know that you were in a relationship that wasn't right?
I think like we were saying at the start of the episode, there was a really hard element for me of it was my first relationship, my first serious relationship. So my constant question was, but how do I know? Yeah. Like, how do I know if something is right or wrong? Because I've never been married. I've never known that this person is the person and like people would just keep saying to me, when you know, you know. And I'm like, yeah, cool, but I don't know. So then I guess that's almost the answer of like, okay, well, I don't know. So it must not be right. And I think like my last relationship was like amazing. And there was so many brilliant things about it, which also therefore meant it was even harder because it was kind of like there's nothing.
It wasn't like this big thing like,
well, there wasn't a major basically.
You cheated on me. And
So it was like, actually everything's pretty good here, but I can't shake, like I said at the start, almost this niggle of, but something's like not quite right. Yeah. And I don't know what that is. And I think that's where there's this key moment where people either push that down and they're like, but I'm just going to like carry on through and commit, which is like, okay, fine. Yeah. But like for me, it was like ultimately came down to like a lack of peace in it really. And knowing like, I just felt like I didn't know. So when the option came to like, okay, well, you know, I need to work out, am I committing to this or not for my sake and for his sake? It was like, no, like I don't think I can do that without, you know, fully knowing that this is right. And, you know, I do hope someday that like, if I meet someone else, like I will have that feeling of knowing where I guess it's just this feeling of like, do you know what? I actually can't imagine my life without this person. Yeah. Like I love them like very, very deeply. You know, there are a few minors or whatever, but there's not a major, like I'm going to choose to love this person because ultimately it is a choice. Like we're saying, it's like no one is ticking every single box. Yeah. But yeah, I hope, I guess one day that I will like feel that feeling of like, I don't really care about, you know, this tiny thing or this tiny thing. Like, I just choose you and I love you and I want to be with you.
Yeah.
And guys, to be honest, neither of us have ever felt that way. So we're not even here able to say, you know, that you will feel that with the right person. But that is what people say. And I trust people that, you know, we've got friends in amazing relationships, married for years. And it's like, they just knew. So we're like, okay, well, hopefully one day we'll relate.
Yeah.
But
good reflections there, bro.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It is hard though.
I think in reality, you would love it if you could know all of this before you go into a relationship. Like, you could see all these majors and minors outlaid before you and almost go, okay, with all of this information, do I want to step into this relationship and commit to this person, yes or no? But that is just not the case.
Yeah, you can't
and
know
sometimes
that.
I think the reality is you date someone, you invest.
Yeah.
And you know, down the line, it's when you realise that, oh, actually, I don't think this is right. That doesn't mean that you failed or that you chose wrong or that
you've like led someone on or led someone down the wrong path. It's like,
how are you supposed
that's
to know?
what dating's for.
Yeah, and how are you supposed to know at the very start?
Yeah.
Unless, like I say, unless there was this massive, massive major thing that you just chose to ignore, but you knew 2 years later, oh, in reality, I don't want to continue being with someone who is fundamentally like that. Then I would say that is something that you could have not done.
Yeah. But like, that is literally the point of dating. So if you date someone and over time you conclude, I don't think this is right, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like,
yeah.
Obviously the hope for both of you is that it ends with you together forever and no one gets hurt, but it's not the reality of life. Like
that, yeah.
And even like, as you're growing up with someone, you both learn things about yourself, you discover things about yourself that you want or that you're like, that you didn't know at the start of your relationship. So it's like all these things like evolve over time. But I guess our main reflection or point to you would be like, don't ignore the niggle. That would kind of be my reflection of like, again, from the settling perspective, like, so if you've not had a boyfriend and sorry, I'm just having a flashback to that clip. If you haven't seen it, guys, in one of our YouTube videos, I just said so bluntly, like, you've never had a boyfriend, and like, I don't know, it just sounded awful, but it made for funny content. But like, that is because I guess you would say you've not met anyone that you want to date, or like, you know, that. So I guess it kind of links, because it's like, you've not wanted to settle or you've not wanted to date just anyone. And like, why is that?
Well, I think firstly there's also the side of it of like, maybe there were people that I would have wanted to, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. So it's not just all like, oh, I'm just like looking at everyone and going, no. I think, but I think
not good enough.
I would just say overall, even in the last year, a big realization for me has been like, you know, being single isn't like a failed, it's not like you failed and, you know, you failed to get into a relationship and that's why you're single, or it's kind of this secondary option of, oh, you couldn't find someone, so you're just in this waiting zone of singleness, and then, you know, the aim is just to get out as quickly as you can. I think that has been massive because it's made being single like a valid choice. I think often it's almost this secondary, like you say, people are like, nah, I couldn't do, you know, I'd rather be in a relationship that I'm not confident in than be single and lonely. And I think also in the grand scheme of things, maybe being single can be lonely, but it's not always. It's not like single equals lonely. Like that's, I think, something that often, not all the time, but often is actually in your control of like, who have you got around you? Who are the people that
you don't have to just sit alone every evening.
No, like that is just not the case. 'Cause you're single. And the reality is that you probably won't have maybe the same level of connection as someone would if they were in a relationship, but doesn't mean that you have to be lonely. Side point. But I think for me it's like knowing that I can be single and that's okay.
Yeah.
And also it's not, it's just not something that I have to do. I don't have to, for whatever reasons. I think people get into relationships for all sorts of reasons, like, oh, it's because it's what everyone else is doing, or it's because
my
people
friends
have an
are on,
expectation that I should, or
my parents.
Like I've made this timeline in my head, and I'm off track with where the timeline's at
by the time I'm 30.
So I think if you kind of, I don't know, I think removing some of those pressures and just being like, I don't need to get into a relationship.
Does this person like,
unless they're going to actually add something to my life.
Add to my life.
Then, like,
do they make
I don't really
me
want
into
to.
like, do we like, you know, bring out each other's strengths? Do we have loads of fun? Do we like have serious convos as well? Do we like all these things? It's like, you want someone to be adding to your life in like a really significant way. Otherwise it's like,
yeah, what's the point? And I think for me, actually, often I, you know, feeling really blessed with what my life looks like and grateful for the stuff in it, actually often like looking at it, I'm like, I don't actually even know where I would kind of fit a boyfriend. Like they'd have to be like, oh, I'm gonna be willing to sacrifice these things because I actually rate this person enough that they can, you know, come into my life, and I'd actually let go of some stuff so they can fit in.
And I think when you're in that mindset, that is also like the healthiest way you can enter a relationship, rather than like, I'm looking for someone to fulfill me, I'm looking for someone to like, you know, make me feel secure, make me feel, you know, good about myself. That's never going to end well.
No.
It's like, anyway, I guess that's a whole different point.
But I guess that's some of the reason as to why. Other reasons as well, as in, like I said, it's not just like I've just never
rejected 60 people.
It's it's like there's other reasons, but I guess that is a big, a fairly substantial part of it.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think I would end by saying, if you're in a relationship and you're wondering if they're the right person, that's okay. Like it's a very good question to think about.
Definitely.
Because otherwise you're wasting your time. Like
absolutely.
And you can think about it, chat about it with people, you know, process it, and the conclusion might be like, this is the right person and I'm gonna like commit. Amazing. The other conclusion might be this isn't the right person, and that is equally okay. And I would just encourage you that if that is you, and you know deep down, I don't think I'm going to be with this person, I think the most like loving thing to do is to call it off, or be honest with how you're feeling, because it's gonna, as well as like saving you hurt, it's also just gonna, like, you've got to think for the other person as well. Like both of you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because there will be a part of you that obviously there'll be a part of you that really cares about them, and actually from a more selfless perspective of, do you know what, even though I can't give 100% no, it's actually more selfish for me to drag it on than to be kind to them and just kind of cut it off, even if I'm not 100% sure.
Like even if you're like, I think that's actually really key. Even if you're not totally sure and there are amazing things about the relationship, if you just feel like deep down it's probably not going to work, just take the step. Because also, if it is meant to be, you can get back together. Yeah. That's what I always think as well.
Nothing is ever final.
If something is meant to be, you will have a way of finding yourselves back to, like, finding your way back to each other. But in the meantime, if it's not feeling right,
goodbye.
Guten Tag.
Goodbye, my lover.
Is that goodbye in German?
Goodbye, my friend.
Guten Tag.
We're literally doing this in the last episode before.
Okay, I feel like this has been quite a serious episode, but...
yeah, serious topic.
We hope you guys took something away.
Yes.
And have a brilliant week.
Yes. Have a brilliant week, guys, and we will see you in our next episode.
Ta-da!
Bye. Adios.
Bye.